Men, what I wanted to do today, I've got an hour in 15 segment today or whatever. I was going to take about an hour and go over my presentation and then leave it open for questions the last 10 or 15 minutes. But if any time during the talk you want to interrupt me and ask me a question about anything, please do. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is a quick overview of the Florida State running game, touch on some fundamentals, and touch on some drills that we do to teach the specific things that we're trying to get across to our young men. First of all, with the running game, we're going to start with a philosophy at Florida State University. And that philosophy is this, that we want to have a hard-nosed physical running game out of all of our personnel groupings. Now, we're going to get into basically 3 personnel groupings at Florida State University. We're going to get into a base personnel grouping where we're in the I formation, split backs where we have 2 wide receivers, we have 2 backs, and we have a tight end. Occasionally we'll put in a second tight end and take out a wide receiver. And then on the goal line, we'll get into a 3 tight end situation where we have 2 backs, 3 tight ends, and no wide receivers. The other personnel grouping that we'll get into is we have 2 backs in the game, we have no tight end in the game, and we have 3 wide receivers. And this will be the second most common personnel grouping we get into. The next one that we get into equally as much is a 4 wide receiver personnel grouping where we have no tight end in the game, no fullback in the game, 1 running back. And what I'm going to discuss today is our running game out of these different personnel groupings. Give you a quick overview of what we're trying to accomplish at Florida State in these personnel groupings. Okay. From the I formation with a tight end and 2 wide receivers, I'm going to talk about the sweep. I'm also going to talk about the sweep in the 3 wide receiver personnel grouping. I'm going to talk about the sprint draw when you got a tight end and 2 wide outs. And I'm going to talk about the sprint draw when you've got 3 wide receivers and no tight end in the game. Out of the 1 back set where we've got 4 wide receivers in the game, I'm going to talk about our draw and our direct snap and our trap play and our zone play. The last thing, as I mentioned to you, I'm going to talk about fundamentally what we're trying to teach and the drills that we're going to touch on to teach these fundamentals. And if I have time, I've got 2 or 3 gadget plays that I'm going to touch on and share with you gentlemen today. Okay. Now, the starting place for Florida State every spring is the toss sweep. Now, we're going to get in the I formation. We're going to get in the I formation. Let me see, I can turn this off right here. We're going to get in the I formation, and this is a starting place for us. We get 15 days. We get 15 days in practice, and of those 15 days, 10 are in pads. And the first half of spring practice we're going to spend in the I formation. And we're going to start with the sweep. This is our starting play. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step you through the toss sweep, and I'm going to draw it up against a couple of different fronts. I'm going to draw it up against an 8-man front because this is a front that's becoming ever more common in college football and is very common in high school football. And if you look at professional football and all the different nickel packages and everything, when you break it down and put people there instead of X's and O's, you see that in pro football there's an awful lot of 8-man front being played. But when we start with the sweep, our alignment, our fullback, his hand is going to be at 4 yards, or his feet is at 5 yards. And the tailback, we want our tailback to be 7.5 or 8 yards deep. One of the beauties of the I formation is if you've got a kid that's got some vision and he can run to daylight, is getting back away from the line of scrimmage as opposed to up there at 4 or 3.5 or 4 yards from the line of scrimmage, getting back so he can see the daylight and see where to run to the daylight, and he's not right on top of the blockers. One of the biggest problems we have when we get runners from high school coming to college is that they want to run right up on the butt of those offensive linemen. And I think if you really look at the great runners today, that those guys like the Dexter Carters and the Emmett Smiths and the Warwick Dunns, they set their blocks up. They read their blocks, and you can't do that if you're too close on the heels of that blocker. So we want our tailback back there at 7.5 to 8 yards deep. Well, the starting place for the sweep is that tight end, and the tight end is going to block the defensive end. That's whether that defensive end is in a 7 technique inside shade, a 6 technique foot to foot, or if he's in a wide, if he's in a tight 9, or if he's in an outside shade wide 9, or even if he's in a ram technique. The tight end is going to block the defensive end. And basically, he wants to get the cylinder of his body working north and south. So if that man's in an inside position, and this also goes true for the tackle because the tackle is always going to block the tackle on the sweep, he wants to get his body working north and south. So if that guy's in an inside shade position, I'm going to take a reed step, I'm going to take a banana step to square my body up to where I can knock him that way. I want the strength going that way. I want my body going this way. I don't want to have to knock him down. I want to think in terms of knocking him off the ball. Off the ball. So if a man's on an inside shade, I'm going to take an inside zone step, banana step with my inside foot to square my hips so I can knock that defensive end backwards. Now the tackle's in the situation right here where the 3 technique, he's not going to have that luxury because the man's already down a man farther. Now if he had a 4-eye or a 4 technique, he would be doing the same thing. But since this man that he's blocking is 1 man down, that he's going to have to take a lateral step with his inside foot, and he wants to cave this tackle down hard. Tight end's blocking here. Now the tight guard is pulling. The tight guard is pulling, and he is pulling to cut the outside knee of the strong safety. Now we want to cut on the sweep. We want to cut block on the sweep. And you say, well, in some high schools you can cut. I believe in Alabama and Texas you can cut. Florida you can't cut. But what we teach them is on our cut blocks, we want to run through the hip. We don't want to run at the knee. When we play against good athletes, they'll jump over us. We want to run at the hip, step on their toes, and I want to run my inside shoulder pad through his outside hip. I want to run my inside shoulder pad through his outside hip. And I don't want to block to him. I want to run through him. You get physical with your feet. You get physical with your feet in football. Blocking is just like tackling. You want to accelerate your feet on contact. You want to run through that man. When that collision is made, that's when you want to accelerate your feet and run your feet through that man. So the block we're teaching that tight guard is the same block that I'm teaching the fullback right here. On the sweep, we put the fullback on the first inside linebacker to the strong side. Now our takeoff point is the inside leg of the tackle. Now the reason we do that is if we aim too wide, the fullback and the tight guard will be in the same pair of breeches. They'll run into each other, and they'll knock each other off the course. So initially, I tell that fullback to take a lead step with his play side foot right at the inside leg of the tackle. And when that guard clears, then you track that linebacker. If we're in a 2-linebacker defense, you got the first inside backer. If it's a 3-linebacker defense, if you're playing a 4-3, then we'll put him on the strong side linebacker, or we may have a scheme where we put him on the middle linebacker. But this blocking technique is the same as the tight guard. So he's coming right through here.
then he's got to track that linebacker, whether this guy's a downhill player or whether he's a scrape player. Then I'm going to run. I'm going to track him. Usually he ends up coming outside to get this Sam linebacker. Then I want to negotiate that block of that tight end on that defensive end. Then I want to eyeball that Sam linebacker. Then I want to run my inside shoulder pad through his outside hip, accelerate my feet on contact. Now on the back side of this sweep, we're going to do a full scoop. We're going to do a full scoop. The center, if this guy is in a one technique, well then I'm probably just going to come right up here. If this guy's in a shade, then I'm going to probably chip through him to give this guard a chance to get his hat so he can clip him. So you're working a little combination block on the backside, and then this split tackle is responsible for the backside B gap, scooping the backside B gap. If you're playing a guy like Renard Wilson that plays defensive end for us that is particularly fast, it may be a coaching point that week that you just lock that backside tackle on that backside five gap player if he's a guy that can run everything down from behind. Now what we'll do with our wide receiver, we're just going to bring him down and put him on the cornerback, and he'll stalk block the cornerback right there. What we tell the tailback is that free safety is your man. You either make him miss, run over him, or outrun him. Okay? All right, now the tailback. The tailback is in a two-point stance, 7.5, 8 yards deep. What we want to do is take a delay step or a backside jab step to let the fullback clear so the quarterback can reverse pivot and there's a clear pitch lane to give him the football. Okay? So there's a slight delay there. When we look at the tape, you'll see there's a slight delay there. And then he wants to head downhill. The tailback is keying the tight end's block. Keying the tight end's block. Our sweep, we've got two sweeps. We've got a downhill sweep, and then we've got a stretch sweep. Now this is the downhill sweep. So we're aiming, we're going to take that jab step, delay, let the fullback clear, then we're aiming downhill at that tight end, reading his block. Okay, in this particular defense, if our tight end holds up to his end of the bargain, then we've got the corner naturally. With that 7 technique, we're going to mash him down. Then that play is going to bounce out here, and he's going to read the block of the tight guard on the strong safety. We bring the backside wide receiver across, and he usually ends up cutting the backside corner in that particular defense. Okay? Any questions against the 8-man front? Okay, I'll draw it up against a 4-3 defense. That seems to be the NCAA defense lately. Okay, again, as I mentioned, the tight end is going to block. Now you got a defensive end that's got outside leverage on you. It's got outside leverage on you. So what that tight end's got to do, he's going to try to square his hips up. He's going to try to square his hips up. So his first step, he wants to take a little bit of a drop step so he can get his hips squared up on the hips of this rusher. Well, generally, if this guy is in a tight 9, he's not going to have to take too much of a drop step. But if this guy moves out into a ram technique, then he's going to have to take more of a drop step to square his hips up on that rusher. But usually when they're out in that wide 9 technique, they accommodate you a little bit. They usually turn and angle in. So we're going to have to meet force with force there. But again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to knock this man back this way. We're trying to knock the front people that way. We don't want to knock them sideways. We want to knock them back towards their goal line. All right, again, the tackle will be down on the tackle. And what we do in this particular defense, we, as a base scheme, we will put our fullback on the middle linebacker, and we'll wrap our guard around on the strong side linebacker. But because usually in this defense, they're going to be in some kind of umbrella look, or they're going to be in some kind of quarter-quarter scheme over here, where this guy is not a particularly quick support man against the run. Then on the backside, we're stepping here in case there's a run through, scoop, scoop, and then we'll control this man with the naked bootleg, or if we feel like this man is a better player than that man, then we may lock the tackle on the backside 5 technique, as I mentioned before. And that's the way we run the sweep against the 4-3 defense. All right, let me just draw it up for you real quick on the goal line. Now this is a play that we love to run on the goal line. We are not an option team, any of you guys that have seen us play. So our running game is going to come as a power running game with the sweep, with the isolation, and then it's going to be a draw game. We're not a big counter team, so what we've got to do is we've got to get the ball deep to our guys and let them option run. And that's what we feel like we can do with the sweep. Now on the goal line, we will start in this formation right here. Okay, I'll draw it up against a 6-2, which is a common defense. Now we're going to run the same philosophy there. Here we're going to pull a tight guard. Now in this particular defense, when we're talking about inside the 3-2-yard line, people are usually in a goal line attitude charge where they're trying to get penetration, not get back, get their pads down. So this center scoop block is not as difficult as it looks on paper. That's gotten more often than not. All right? The tight guard has to know when we're in a 3 tight end situation that the extra tight end, or in the case that we have, we put an extra lineman in here, that the lineman now has a first support. So we're going to bring that lineman out to block there. Either line him up and do it, or put him over and have him in motion. So we can put him over here and put him in motion, and he can block first support. We're still going to keep our fullback on the linebacker. Tackle's got the tackle, whether he's a 5, a 4, a 4-eye, or a 3. The tight end still has the defensive end, whether he's a 7, a 6, a 9, or a wide 9. Okay? So this wham man, or this third tight end's got first support, the guard's got second support, and the fullback's got the first inside linebacker. Then we have a hard scoop on the backside by the backside 3 people. One of the hardest things to do when you get in the goal line and short yardage situations is this. If you come out in a spread formation on the goal line, if people are smart defensively, they will make you throw the football to beat them on the goal line. So what will they do? They're going to outnumber you if you're in a pro set. They're going to put one more in there than you can block. And then you just got to make them miss or run over them. But what this formation has done for us is given us a chance to get a hat on the play side, to get a hat for hat. At least we got a chance to at least be even with them. And as you can see right here, we got a hat on everybody. So now we're giving our great runners a better chance to score in goal line and short yardage situations. And that's one of the reasons that we run the sweep down here. Okay, any questions on that particular defense? Is there any other defense you'd like me to draw up on the goal line? Okay, all right. All right, the next play that we're going to hang our hat on is a sprint draw. Now I'm going to draw the sprint draw up. I'm going to draw it up against defense I didn't draw the sweep up against, but just to give you an idea. The play was designed for this defense. Now the history of this play, and we got it in 1977 from Auburn University. A guy named Alec Gibbs. I don't know where Alec is now. He's in pro ball somewhere, but they had a guy named James Brooks. Y'all remember James Brooks? Well, James Brooks was about 170 pounds. Sounds like one of them Florida State tailbacks we got now. But we played Auburn in Tallahassee in 1977, and they had Brooks and they had Cribbs. And William Andrews was playing fullback. And they ran this play about 20 or 30 times, and we could hardly stop it. So the next year we didn't play Auburn anymore. We went up there and visited and got this play, and we kind of tailored it to Florida State. And we've been running it ever since. And the play was originally designed because at that time Florida State ran this weak eagle defense. Now we played Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl a couple of years ago, and they run this defense, and some people still run it. But the play was originally designed, and we just, every year we ran it and ran it. We didn't want to stop running it. And so we tailored it to every defense. So this is one of those runs where you can just blind call it. We've developed it over the years. We've had different line coaches, but some of us have been there for a long time, so we've just kind of carried the tradition along, and this is a play that we'll call, and we'll not put an either or with it. We'll just call it and run it. All right, again, when we're running the sprint draw, we'll start against this leverage strong defense. We're going to draw block the tight end. The tight end's going to block the defensive end. So he's going to come out of his stance. He's going to set. He's going to draw block. It's an aggressive draw block. It's not a set. You just come out of your stance, take a short step, just grab that man right by the chest and try to work him outside. Usually in this defense, he's a leverage player. He's a 9 technique. So he's going to try to work this man outside. The tackle's going to do the same thing. In this protection, this blocking scheme is the same as our sprint draw passing scheme that I'll mention tomorrow morning. So there's great carryover there. The defensive lineman, to them, it looks just like the sprint draw pass. Looks just like the sprint draw pass. He's not going to drop step. He's just going to come out of his stance, get his body erect, then try to work this tackle, who usually is a leverage player, to the outside. If he happens to be a foot-to-foot player, then I'm going to take him right there, and if I can work him outside, great. If he tries to work inside, well, then I'm just going to have to step him down and just mash him right where he is. Okay? Now, the tight guard and center, they're going to come hip to hip, and they're going to combination block the nose to the backside linebacker. Now, this would be whether it's a 50 defense with a 5 and a 3, or a 5 and you had a backside 4 and a rush in, or if you had 2-4 techniques, we're still going to try to run the play this way. But they're going to come hip to hip, and if this nose guard works strong, the center will take him over, and the center will come off late backside. If that nose guard was to come this way, then the center would take him, and then the tight guard would come off for the backside linebacker. So those two guys are going to combination block the nose to the backside linebacker. Now this is not a blast block. This is not an isolation where they're flat backing them and they're trying to cannonball him off the line of scrimmage to the backside linebacker. Center snapping the ball, and he's coming right here. The tight guard is setting down, and they're locking hip to hip on this nose guard. Now he's going to have a gap control. If he comes to me, well, then I'm going to grab him and bring him with me, and then that center will come off late. As I step down in there, if he works to the center, well, then I'm going to go ahead and push him there, then I'll come off late for the backside linebacker. Okay? So we got that combination working right there. Now on the backside of this, there is a little give because it looks just like the sprint draw protection. I may just give a little step right there. So that split guard, this fellow right here, he's sitting right there. If I got an outside leverage player, good, I'm going to lock on and I'm going to run him to the sideline, take him where he wants to go. He's a B-gap player, well, I'll take him. If I set here and he's right down the middle, well, then I'm gonna try to take him one way or the other. If he just wants to stay there, well, then I'll just mash him. If he plays an inside one technique, well, then I'll just mash him here. I don't want to turn here and let him get penetration to my tailback. I want to try to keep my pad square and mash him on down the line, see? Okay? Then your backside split tackle, he's got a 5-gap rusher, and usually these guys are just coming hard right there. Well, then what I want to do is I want to, just like pass protection, I'm going to drop and try to get my hips between him and the quarterback. Then I want to lock on, and then I'm just going to work him to the sideline. Make sure that he doesn't try to come back underneath and make that tackle on that sprint draw. So we really work hard on pressing with our feet after that contact is made. Press with those feet. Blockers, press with your feet. How do you get physical in football? You get physical with your feet. You get physical with your feet. Accelerate your feet on contact. Like that guy that sold that Kentucky Fried Chicken. How'd they sell that Kentucky Fried Chicken? They crammed it down their throat. We're going to take accelerate your feet on contact. As runners and blockers, we're going to cram it down our kids' throat. When we get those freshmen August 1, we're going to cram it down their throat for 4 years. When they leave, they ask them guys when they graduate, is there one thing you understand? He says, yes, sir, accelerate feet on contact. Learn how to accelerate your feet on contact. All right. Now the fullback, you're going to take off initially for the defensive end because on our sprint draw protection, we release our tight end and our fullback blocks the defensive end. So we want to start out with an open, crossover, third step. After I get 3 steps, and this is hard to do because he knows he's got this guy, I want to start at this angle and then climb here. And the reason we do that, we don't want to get that linebacker on an isolation read. But we do run enough of the sprint draw pass where that guy is confused. He sees sprint draw pass, he sees sprint draw. You know, he's not sure. So we don't get the hard downhill isolation read on this play very much. And we want to help that by this angle of the fullback initially, and then he wants to come up in there and climb that linebacker. Now, how are we going to block that linebacker? It depends on what kind of fullback you got. When I had Edgar Bennett, he weighed 208 pounds, and he had the cut block because we're playing against 240, 250-pound linebackers. When I had Marion Butts and William Floyd, they could just hit them right in the nose and knock them back. So you got to go with what you got. And I'll talk about fundamentally how we teach cut blocking and then how we teach a high drive blocking a little later. Okay. All right, that fullback's going to take this angle and climb there. Our tailback, and we've done it 2 ways. All right, the first way we started doing it, we just hopped over and went, which is not bad. But then we got to where we wanted to slow him down a little bit, and this is the way we did it. We just turned our shoulders and turned our toe to the sideline, turn our shoulders and turn our toe to the sideline, and then we cross over with our second step at the tight end area, and that gives us a little bit of a bow right there. And then we get that quarterback coming back. He gets exchange, and he brings the ball deep to that tailback. And if that quarterback will hurry, he can get that ball at 5 and 5.5 yards deep to that tailback, and then that tailback can make his reads. Now the tailback reads are this. If the tackle box is covered, that's a 5 technique or a 4 technique, well then we're thinking this is a backside play. We're thinking this is a play that I want to run that football from their back. I want to run that football from that tight tackle box back. Okay? Even with a 4 technique there, our tackle knows that tailback is thinking cutback. The tailback's thinking cutback. And if this guy plays here and this linebacker plays this gap, the fullback's got to adjust to get him. But still, I want to think about running that ball there. Because what happens if that tailback bounces the ball out here, if you got a 4, a 6, and a strong safety, there's nobody to block that strong safety, and that thing can ricochet out to here. So what we found out through repetition was even when you get a 4 technique tackle, you still want to think cutback. If that tight tackle can just lock onto that man, that tailback can cut that thing all the way back. I've seen that play bounce here and come all the way around the corner against a 3 and a 5 technique. Okay?
Well, that's a sprint draw against the 50 defense. All right, let me draw it up against the 8-man front for you. Now, when you draw it up against an 8-man front, again, it's an excellent play. And what the best thing for us is when we just fan block it. Okay? All right? But we get our quarterback, he calls the defense. He calls the defense for us. He identifies the defense for us. He identifies the defense for us. Okay? So he would come up here and he'd see this would be an 8-man front, and he would identify that for everybody. Okay? Well, then we would come here, set, and these two guys would combination to there, then he would set here. This would be an unblocked man. The rover is an unblocked man. And the tailback knows that on an 8-man front. He knows that the backside rover is an unblocked man on an 8-man front. Now the technique for these two people is the same as the tight end and the tight tackle had on the 50 defense. I want to block it with my spine in a vertical plane, short step it, square my hips and lock on and try to take the man to the responsibility that he has. Now the tailback, the only thing that changes here now is the tackle box is not covered. The tackle box is not covered. So my read is this defensive guard here. That's either a 3 technique, a 2 technique, or 1 technique. All right, if it's a 3 technique, then that tight guard, he's got a leverage player. He's going to set. He's going to stick that foot in the ground, and that guy's going to work leverage, and he's going to lock on. He's not going to just be a turnstile. He's going to try to keep his hip square and take him to where he wants to go, take him to his responsibility. Okay? So he's going to do that. These men are back here, they're getting a read. These linemen are calling their techniques, 3, 3, 2, 1. Communicating to these backs back here. Plus they got to have their eyes open too. The guy's working in a 3 technique. That fullback, he's going to start. Well, he's not going to be able to get as far as 3 steps, so he's going to have to get off the line, then get back inside, because if this guy's a 3 technique, then what responsibility does that linebacker have? He's got the A gap. So I know that. This kid knows he's going to come in here and he's going to take this path to block that onside linebacker. Now you get a freshman in there and he wants to just run like a blind dog in a meat house. He's going to run through this gap here. Now you got 2 guys in 1 pair of breeches. Now you got a free linebacker. So it's important that those youngins understand exactly how this play works and where you need to go to get to this certain person. Okay? So I'm off the line, then I'm back inside that tight guard's alignment to get the Sam linebacker. Now that, when you're playing an 8-man front, with our sprint draw, our read now goes back to the tackle, but it's now the 3 technique. So if he's playing a 3 technique, if he's playing a leverage player on that tight guard, then I'm turning my toe, crossover, I'm reading the 3 technique, and I want to run that football in that gap, preferably that gap, and hopefully not that far, because if I do, then I got to handle that man myself. On the backside, we're setting, we're working him upfield. These guys' hips are coming together to, if this guy's in a 1 technique, he's probably going to slam him to let him get better square hip leverage on him and then come up to the linebacker. If he stunts hard into him, he'll take him and then the guard will come up. So we'll work that combination right there and give our give our center and backside guard the different looks that we might get from a particular team on an 8-man front. Now what we'll do, we'll run the corner off, we'll run the X receiver off, and he'll cut roll that guy, and then we'll come out here and stalk the cornerback. Now some people, University of Florida in particular, they will play this, and they will back their corners up inside and bring this free safety up in kind of a double roll look. And what we do in that particular case, we've gotten the Z involved in cracking because this guy becomes a deep halves player, and then he now becomes the safety, the free safety in that particular look. Now this is not a particularly good play on the goal line, short yardage. If you're down around the 7, 8, 6-yard line and you're in your base and they stay in their base defense, then you got a good play. But then we're going back to what we talked about earlier. You get to the 3-yard line, you're in 2 wide receivers with a tight end, and they put an extra defensive lineman. They got a 6-2 defense, and you're running a sprint draw, then you're going to have a dead tailback. So that's some things that you have to be on the lookout for. So this is a play that's a normal yardage in a field play. Okay. All right, now, the next thing I'd like to do, how are we doing on time? Time's over? Just want to make sure.
4:15.
Okay. All right. Now I want to show you the sweep out of the 3 wide receiver look. Now this is something we developed this year. This is something we developed. Run the sweep without a tight end. How do you run the sweep without a tight end? Well, let me preface this by saying when we got into the 3 wide receiver package 3 years ago, one of the only things we ever did was run the sprint draw either way. And it was very successful, and it still is very successful. But people started doing games and angling and slanting and taking away things, and it hurt us. And we not an option team, we couldn't affect the perimeter. So we put in a sweep to the slot side, and we put in a sweep to the split end side, and it was outstanding for us. It was outstanding for us. And I didn't know if it could be done with a tackle blocking a leverage player, but believe me, it works, man. And it will really help your game if you get into a 3 wide receiver look. And this is how we do it. This is a look we get more often than not. And basically what it boils down to is running the stretch play, and pitching the football. When you look at it on film, that's all it is in essence. All right. This block right here is easily done. We're stalking here, and this is the tough one right here. But we've got a leverage tackle. And we'll block it 2 different ways. We'll either reach him, or we'll go out and cut him. And we'll mix those. So we're reaching here, we're arcing here, and we're just coming on side, not blocking this man right here. And also, we will crack the wide receiver on the inside linebacker and arc the fullback on the outside support man. We've got both ways that we do that. I'm not sure on the tape which one I got. I think I've only got 1 or 2 plays, and I'll have to wait to look and see which one I got there. But when you bring this man in here, by zone blocking it, you're protecting the run through. You're protecting the run through if the backer wants to run through. Then you've got a great angle here, and then you've got a great angle here. Now the tailback's step is the same to let the fullback clear. You want a little jab step to let the fullback clear, but now when you get the pitch, you're not thinking downhill. You're not thinking at the tight end area. You're thinking stretch. You're either coming out here and keying the wise block on the backer, or you're keying the fullback's block on the backer, depending on which scheme we use. So that tailback now is thinking wide here. He's not thinking downhill at the tight end. He is thinking wide. He is thinking speed. We got tailbacks. Our tailbacks weigh 178, 183, 181. We finally signed a big one this year. We signed a 193-pounder from Jacksonville. So we're in great shape. But the thing we do have, men, is we got great speed there. And if you got a kid that's a high school 145, 150 pounder that can run, this is a great play to outflank them. A great play to outflank them. Okay? Let me draw it up to the weak side for you. Now this play becomes particularly effective. I'll draw it up, show you what people like to do against us. They'll be in here and people like to slant to our formation. Well, now you can see, boom. Come in here, arc that fullback out. Full zone on the back side. Step in here, protecting the B gap. If you got a one gap, the center will take the one gap player, the A gap player. Step here, there's nothing there, come up on the backside linebacker. And more often than not, we will outflank this 5 technique. But against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, after we'd run it a couple of times, this guy just went hard, just ran hard for leverage. And this guy was just trying to lock on. But we got these blocks right here, and that play came out there and came up inside for a big game. Just an excellent, excellent football play. To the slot and back to the weak side. All right, any questions on the sweep out of the 3 wide receiver set? All right, let me move real quickly to the 1 back set. Now the 1 back set, we're going to do basically 3 things, and I'm going to touch on them real quickly. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to run a man draw. Now this can be run whether you're in the shotgun or whether you got the quarterback up under the center. Now this is a play that needs to be run where the numbers are even. Now obviously you're in a passing formation here, a passing personnel group. You got 4 wide receivers, you don't have a fullback, you don't have a tight end in the game, you got your quarterback in the shotgun and you got your 1 back. Now we put our quarterback at 5 yards, and then we put his toes are at 5 from the ball, and we put our back behind the tackle. His heels are on the toes of the quarterback. You're going to get some different looks, but generally that's what we're going to get when we get in that formation. Now, if we get 5 in the box, we got 5 people to block with. Then we're going to run the football. We're going to run the football. He's going to set, just like the sprint draw protection, he's going to set and take his 5 technique out. He's going to set, block the 3 or the 2 or the 1, take him where he wants to go. Now we're in a 2-point stance here in the shotgun. Center's going to snap the ball, and he's going to block here and go back. He knows he's got the middle linebacker. Then this split guard, he's going to square his hips and take that 1 technique or 2 technique or 3 technique wherever he wants to go. The backside split tackle is going to set and run him upfield. We're going to take our Y. He's going to come in and block here. You can't crack below the waist if he's inside the box, but if he's head up or slightly inside, and you can go cut block him in college. In high school, you probably got to stalk block him, and we're going to come in here and stalk block there. The tailback is going to slide over, square his hips to the line of scrimmage, and put his left shoulder on a dotted line. If you drew a dotted line from the center through the quarterback, he's going to slide over. He's going to get that handoff. He is not going to go forward until he gets that handoff. It's a true draw play. It's a true draw play. What are these people thinking when you're in that formation? You're going to throw the football, which we do about 80-85% of the time. So this is an outstanding play for us. It's a first down play, it's a second down play, it's a third down play. Obviously, it's not a short yardage play out of that formation. Now this tailback, this is what I tell him. I say, men, you got there to there, and you just run where they ain't. You just run where they ain't. Generally, the thing's going to break weak side when you got a leverage player here and a leverage player there. Okay? What if they move this linebacker in the box? If they take this linebacker here, they take this weak side linebacker here and they work him in the box, now you got 6 in the box, you only got 5 guys to block him. You're probably not going to be able to get your weak side slot man on that guy. So what we do, the backside tackle, he just gets a call that that linebacker has walked inside the box, then he will set and come up on that backer, and we won't block that backside 5 technique. If we definitely want to run the ball, the quarterback in any of our runs has always got the option on a run to call a run to the other side or to go to a pass play if they got too many folks for us to block. So there's a couple of ways that you can handle it depending on what your scheme is. Okay? Now, if people are going to play a 3-man rush or a 50 defense on your 4 wide receiver look, it's a very, very, very good play. Say they're going to play a 55 with the backers in here. They got their outside backers. Then they got their perimeter. Then we're just going to, it becomes a man set. Then the center has got to be a very good football player and just snap the ball, take him where he wants to go. There, set here, invite these men upfield. Becomes a man blocking scheme against a 3-man rush, 55 defense. Again, the quarterback is identifying the defense to let everybody know what's happening. Okay, the last play I'm going to draw up for you out of the 4 wide receiver set is the trap play. Now the way we do the trap play, we directly snap the ball to our tailback. Now again, we're foot to foot behind the tackle. The center is going to snap the ball about halfway between the quarterback and the tailback. And the tailback is going to, when he sees that ball snap, he's going to hit it on the run. Okay, if you've got a 3 technique and a 5, 1 shade here, the backer's probably going to be slid this way because your back's on this side. Come in here, trap the 3 technique. Set and gate the backside tackle. Come in here, stop block. And just run these people off. Huh? Yes, Virginia sure was. They were in a 55 front. So I'm going to show you what happened on that play is we blasted to the backside linebacker, and Clay, they killed the nose guard. Him and Chad killed the nose guard, but the backside linebacker, who was a great athlete, he came up. It was a 55 defense. He came behind them and dove and got him right to goal line. But that's it against a stacked defense of 4-3. Now, if you get a 1 technique, I'll draw it up against the 55. If you get a 1 technique, say this guy's right here. They're still stalking there. All right, come here. Then we'll trap We'll do it that way. Let's try the one technique that way.
All right, draw it up real quick against that 55 play you were asking about against Virginia. Right, they were here. Tackle at the backer, outside backer there. We had 6 yards to go. It was a gutsy call, but you know, it came up that short. Actually, his head and his shoulders hit over the goal line, but the ball was down by his hip, and the ball did not break the plane. It was a correct call by the official. Okay, now we're blasting through to the backside linebacker, and we're coming here, and we're trapping the 5 technique there. Okay, and then we gate here with the tackle. Well, these guys, they just blew this guy off the map, and then this kid came right behind and got a hand on him right there, and then he just kind of stumbled to the 1. And then this guy came off there and made the hit on him. But that's the way we block a 55 defense. One other thing I want to show you on this play, and we block the trap out of the eye the same way. So the rules, so the linemen, when we're in the I formation, the linemen are they're doing the same blocking scheme as when we do our direct snap. And this is something we developed, just so you don't want to have to call the play off. Let's say this guy's playing a tight shade right here. Playing an eagle, you know, you're playing a team that's a weak eagle defense. So they're going to play him here, and they're going to play him here, and they're going to play this guy out here. So now that's a tight trap, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're just going to block back here. Tells this guy to come in here. He hears a call. Boom. So that guy knows that thing's going to be. When he hears that call, that back call, or tight call, then we're not going to trap the nose guard. We're not going to trap this guy. Then this guy knows it's going to be a little wider. You know, that way we can get through and do that. All right, man, let me look at the tape, and let's look at the tape and see in real life what all this stuff looks like real quick. If I can get this machine going. Coach, I can stay, if I can get about 15 more minutes if these guys want to see this.
You got it in already?
Yeah, I think I got it, Mike.
You just want to, I'll run it. You want to.
Okay, all right.
Start the tape.
Yeah. If y'all want to move up so you can see this, this is footage from this year. All right, this is a sweep right here. All right, run that back. Let me freeze it. All right, this is 8-man front. This is the first thing I drew up for you. You got your 4-down lineman. You got your 6 technique, your 3 technique, your Sam. We identify as Sam, Mike, Rover, strong safety. Here's your free safety here. All right, you can see the angle of your fullback and your tight end's block. Tight end didn't do a good job of locking on, but you can see the angle of your tailback. That tailback is downhill reading that tight end's block. The tackle is down on the 3 technique. He does a good job of not getting overextended and crushing him down inside. And then here's your fullback running his inside hip through the outside hip of that, Mike, run that back for me, please, sir. You can see how those blocks are so critical right there. The tight end's block on the sweep, the tight tackle's block, and the fullback's block, and then the tight guard knocking out the strong safety. Again, the free safety's unblocked. We're stalking here with Z, bringing the backside X here and rolling the backside corner. All right, here's the end zone copy of it. Now that tight end, he got upfield too much. Can y'all see that where he got upfield too much? Remember me talking about taking an inside zone step to square your hips so you can knock him back. Anytime you have to turn your pads, then you don't have as much power as if you square your hips, and that's why you want to take that inside step to square your hips. Nice job of the running back having no daylight in the cavity, not getting any too open there. All right, run that back, Coach. All right, this is a weak side sprint draw play. Weak side sprint draw play. We're running it back to the split inside. You can see the lineman I talked about. This is a play where we're not really flat backing them, we're setting. Go ahead and run it to the end zone, Mike. But again, the beauty of the I formation, get the ball deep to the tailback. Cut block of the fullback on the first inside linebacker weak. Okay, this is the strong side sprint draw that I drew up for you. All right, freeze it right there for me, Coach. All right, now, this is a 4-3 defense, a stacked defense. We got a weak side shaded nose, a strong side 3, a strong side 9 technique, 3 linebackers, Sam, Mike, and Will, backside 5. We're going to put our fullback on the Sam linebacker. We're going to combination the tight guard and the tight tackle from the 3 technique to the middle backer. We're going to set the 5. Then we're going to take the center and the backside guard and block the weak-sided nose to the backside linebacker. So we can take care of those 7 people in the box. Again, you see the same technique here by the tight end that he's using on all the other sprint draws against all the other defenses. Then the rest of this is just great coaching. That's why we've been out hitting all these high schools for the last. This is a good job. Run that back for me, Mike. This is really a nice job, and this is the hardest thing. Blocking and tackling is the hardest thing to teach. You guys know that. You know, very rarely do you get a William Floyd that just comes and wants to kill people. You know, you got to run through people to tackle them. You got to run through people to block them. And this is a nice job of running through and accelerating your feet on contact. And that's the end result of it. You get a linebacker that's knocked, you know, butt over tea kettle right there. Okay, this is the weak side sweep. Okay, Coach, run that back for me, Mike. Now, let me mention something. I drew up the weak side sweep out of the 3 wide receiver set. You can very easily run it out of the I formation when you got an extra tight end. Nothing's to say you can't do that. Here you see us doing that. It gives you a way, when people are in the I, and all you defensive coordinators know this, people are very heavy tendency, strong side running game, sprint draw, isolation, sweep. Just very strong that way. This play gives you a very effective weak side outside running play, a power running play, where you can give the ball to your tailback, where you say, well, run the option, but on the option, they can run somebody and take away your tailback. Look what people did to Bo Jackson in the early 80s in the wishbone. That's why Pat Dye went to the I formation. The I formation, you can pitch that ball to this man. You can give it to him. You can put it in his hands right now. All right, here you see the zone blocking up front. You see the crack of X on the inside backer, and you see the arc of the fullback on the support. Free safety is the unblocked man. Here you go from the end zone. All right, now, freeze that right there. That's a good picture. You're protected from an inside blitz because you're taking your zone step. He's got that gap, he's got that gap, he's got that gap, and so on and so on. Fullback's got first support. That's a corner, that's a rover in the 8-man front. In a 50 defense, that would be your will linebacker. Okay, look, we'll pass by the passes. We'll get those tomorrow morning. Just one thing I will say on that sprint draw pass is that, let me mention something on that, Mike. Run that back, please. You can see on this protection, the back side and the front side, this is the same blocking as the sprint draw pass that I drew up. Just look at these folks right here. So those down front 4 people, it looks exactly the same. Exactly the same. Okay? All right, right, this is the run right here out of the 3 wide receiver. All right, now this is a sprint draw. This is the sprint draw out of the 3 wide receiver set. The sprint draw out of the 3 wide receiver set. All right, let's get to the end zone copy, and I can cover this real quickly. Run that back and freeze it if you can. I don't know how much we got. Okay, that's good. Let it go just till it gets there. All right. We got a leverage player here. We got a 3 technique player here. Strong side linebacker. Again, what are we reading? What are we reading? We're reading, there's nobody on the tackle, so we're reading the 3 technique. That 3 technique is a leverage player. Now this guy wants to make sure he doesn't turn too much. You want to keep your pad square. If he's a leverage player, keep your pad square. Don't turn here. Don't turn your butt to the sideline. Keep square. He'll keep fighting leverage. He'll keep fighting leverage. Then fullback, you see 3 technique. You're up on inside linebacker. Combination. Center backside guard to backside linebacker. Backside 5 technique. Work him upfield. Tailback, you see 3 technique. So you're thinking about running in the A gap or cutting it back here. All right, this is the free safety. If you do cut it back, you got to negotiate him. Nice job. All right, now this is a sprint draw week out of 3 wide receiver look. A Y, we've got tight end out of the game. We got wide receiver. You're playing Miami. You got a stacked defense. That's their adjustment to 3 wide receivers. Sam walks out. Good. We'll block him with him. 1-on-1 there. Block the 3 technique, 5 technique, fullback on the first inside linebacker to your side. No rule changes. We're working weak there. I beg your pardon. Okay, run it back. We're still blocked. 5 technique, combination to the nose to the backside linebacker right here. Fullback isolating on the first inside linebacker weak. All right, run that back. Let me mention this. This is important. This is important for this man to know who is blocked and who is unblocked on a particular scheme. He knows when that quarterback identifies that defense that we got enough people to block these 4 and these people right here. Okay, so what does that mean to him? If his initial hole is closed, he knows he can cut it back because there's somebody to block this man. You say, well, what if this guy walks up in the box? What if this man walks inside, or what if he's on a blitz? Well, then that's where you got to have this run with another run, or this run with a pass so your quarterback can get out of that, okay? That's our philosophy on that. Run that back, coach. I think this is a real good picture right here, this split guard. This is a real good picture of accelerating your feet on contact right here. Watch that split guard right there. Create movement. Create movement. All right, here's a sweep that I drew up for you out of 3 wide receivers. Okay, let's look at that. Again, zone blocking up front. We've got a crack right here by the slot. Arc by the fullback. You don't get quick support here. Tight tackle, reaching the 5 technique. Here's the end zone copy. All right, here's the weak side. X receiver, he feints. I guess he thought that linebacker was going to die of a heart attack. Fullback, he didn't step on toes either, but good recruiting again. Again, just zone block it up front in case you got to run through. You can see a nice job right there by the interior lineman getting off on the backside linebacker. Nice job by the split guard getting up on the backside linebacker. Okay, let it run to the run. All right, this is the direct play right here. All right, this is the trap. This is our trap out of the one back set, out of the direct snap. Okay, let it run, Coach. All right, right there we're trapping the one technique. We had a little mix-up right there. So you can see how that thing opens up for you. Okay, run this back and freeze it just a second, Mike. All right, this is the draw. This is the last one I'll show you, and then I'll answer any questions you guys got. This is the draw. We're in a situation right here where we've got 5 in the box. I know it looks congested, but he can get here. The weak side slot can get here. Strong side slot can get here. We've got these 4 folks. The center is going to work up to the middle linebacker. Tackle stay on the 5. This tackle stay on your 5, and then you got a little twist inside. The back's going to slide over, wait till he gets the ball, and then run inside the tackle box. All right, let her go. All right, here it is from the end zone. You got a strong side, 1, a weak side. You got a little twist game in there. Well, I tell them, you either got to run over him and make him miss, and 28 does a pretty good job of making him miss. Okay, that's good. That's it right there. All right, any questions on any of those? I didn't get to the gadget plays, and I didn't have a chance to talk on some of the drills. I can start with that in the morning if you guys want me to. But tomorrow morning I was going to talk on our passing game from the I formation and from the 4 wide receiver set. I was going to start with our